I often get people who are super enthusiastic about learning how to play violin, and to get started, of course, they need a new instrument, and that's where they make a very big mistake.
So I've been watching some of them videos and it looks like playing violin would just be so much fun. I'm just gonna go ahead and buy myself a violin. Now what's the best place to buy violin? Let's have a look. Here's a good one. It's only $99. That's a bargain. I'll buy that one.
And then often, after having made the mistake once, they make the mistake a second time when they buy their next instrument. I had a client who lives in the country and she wanted to learn how to play violin, and so she bought a violin. She wondered why she kept sounding so incredibly terrible. She just thought, well, I just mustn't be any good at playing. She found a couple of my videos and ended up buying a much better instrument. And she did all the right things in buying her instrument. And she just couldn't believe the difference. Her instrument had just totally held her back, like over years. She was just so frustrated. She was wondering why she couldn't progress, why she kept sounding so tinny, why she was playing two strings at the same time, why it was so hard to press down her fingers and the strings were just digging into her fingers. And that's when she contacted me, just trying to figure out what was wrong, what she could do. She ended up getting a new instrument. It was one of my Pierre Lamont instruments, and it just made such a huge difference. She just hadn't realized that learning to play the violin could be just so much easier. All of this because she made this one big mistake when she bought her first instrument.
Wow, that only took 2 days. Look at it. I think I need to practice. Well, it's been 3 weeks and I've been jumping on that internet and it's been great. I even got myself a shoulder rest. Why do I keep hitting them other strings? Well, it's been a few months and I'm getting much better, but still finding it a bit hard. Still sounds terrible, doesn't it? Well, it's been nearly a year, so... It still doesn't sound very good. I think I might just give up. This whole violin thing, it just isn't for me. It just always sounds terrible.
Her stories is one of so many stories that I've come across in my over 37 years as a violin maker. I often get players coming in with instruments that just really don't work well. Sometimes I can save them, sometimes I can't. Sometimes they're just not instruments that are, where you can actually do anything to really improve the sound a lot. Hearing these stories all the time frustrated me so much that I ended up writing a report on the 7 essentials to buying a good quality instrument. If you click on the link below, you can actually download that report for yourself. There's one thing that people get wrong that makes the biggest difference, and that is buying the instrument from the wrong place. There are so many places where you can buy violins. There are areas in China, for example, where they pump out over 750,000 violins a year, close to 1 million instruments a year in just one small town. Do you think all those instruments are well made? I actually went there and had a look how the instruments were made. There were some good places, but most of them, it wasn't very pretty. They weren't well made and they were never going to sound any good. And so the problem is that people run businesses like eBay businesses, shops, they might be string players, things like that. They think, hey, I can buy these instruments really cheaply from China and then sell them on eBay. Even supermarkets have violins now. You can even buy a violin at Aldi. So they get these cheap instruments, but the way they're set up in China, like the makers there, all they can do is one thing, and a lot of them don't actually understand how an instrument is played. Those instruments arrive almost unplayable. And so when they arrive, some shops just sell them on exactly how they have arrived. And so you end up with an unplayable instrument. And the big mistake people make is they don't buy their instrument from the right place. And the right place to buy an instrument is a violin maker or someone who's been well trained in violin making. So a violin maker and restorer, because firstly, when they pick instruments to sell, they look at them from the perspective of a violin maker and a string player. And secondly, any good violin maker will also do all the work that it takes to bring the instrument into a good playable condition. And I worked out that a lot of those cheap instruments need close to between $300 and $800 worth of work to get them into good playable condition. Okay, different places charge different rates, but you know, that's the approximate amount that someone would have to spend to get one of those cheap instruments into good condition. So yes, you can buy inexpensive instruments that work well, and you don't have to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to get a decent instrument, but get it from the right place. Don't buy it off the internet, off just anyone who hasn't trained as a violin maker. Don't even buy it off a music store, because unless the music store employs a well-trained violin maker. So you have to do a bit of research and make sure that you end up with an instrument that plays well, that sounds good. In these 7 essentials, I have a few more hints of things to look out for when you're buying your first or second instrument. So it's worth reading it and really making sure that you end up with an instrument that works really well for you. You've got to think about when you take up playing this beautiful instrument, the violin basically becomes your voice. It's your way of expressing yourself. Do you want some kind of tinny sounding thing that doesn't work properly? Or do you want something that actually makes a beautiful sound, that's easy to play, that's beautifully made of nice materials? So make sure you buy your instrument from a reputable violin shop, a reputable violin maker, and if you buy it just off a music shop, make sure they employ a well-trained violin maker as well. So anyway, I hope this helps you with your violin journey. I personally recommend not spending under $500 for a new instrument. That's in Australian dollars. So that's maybe closer to $400 in US dollars, because it's very hard to get something well made in that price range. If you can afford a bit more, spend over $1,000 and you'll find something really nice. You'll actually find an instrument that'll be beautiful to play. I don't practice enough. I'm actually not that good on the violin. I mean, I've played for quite a few years, but I could be a lot better if I actually practiced a bit more. But I'm a violin maker. That's what I do. But I love playing the violin. I just don't play it as much. I definitely don't play professionally, so there are a lot of string players that are way better than me. But I enjoy it. It's such a beautiful instrument. And you can create so many different nuances with a beautiful sounding instrument. So have fun on this journey. Don't buy a crappy violin off the internet or from a non-reputable source.
Why do I keep hitting them other strings?
There are good places on the internet. You just got to make sure that you find them. Make sure that you buy an instrument that's been set up by a professional violin maker, and have loads of fun. This journey is so rewarding, and when you have a beautiful instrument that kind of represents your voice, it is just so much more fun. So enjoy the journey and stick with it. It's the first bit is tough. The first bit's hard because you've got to train your muscle memory, and you're just not going to sound the way you think you might sound when you're first starting. But if you persist, you will sound amazing, and it's never too late. I've got clients who've started at age 70 and they're actually getting there. They're sounding good. So it's totally worth it. Anyway, if you like my videos, hit the like button, subscribe so you find out every time I post another video, and hit the little bell. Very important. Okay, thanks for watching. Keep making beautiful music, and if you haven't started yet, you'll get there, and you'll also be able to make beautiful music. Alright, have fun. See you guys. Bye.